You open your phone. There's a video telling you to wake up at 4 a.m. Another one telling you that if you're not making six figures by 22, you're already behind. Somewhere in the algorithm, all of this gets filed under the same label: self-improvement. Funny thing is, most people never asked to be sorted that way. You just wanted to feel a little less lost, and somehow you ended up in a feed full of people yelling at you about discipline. Here's the truth. Nobody puts in the thumbnail. Everyone your age is trying to become a better version of themselves right now. Not because it's trendy, because the world outside feels completely out of your hands. You can't fix the economy. You can't fix the news. You can't fix how expensive everything got while wages stayed the same. But you're still something you can work on. So the one thing you think you can control becomes the only thing you focus on. That's not shallow. That's just what happens when everything else feels locked. The problem is what better ends up meaning by the time it reaches you. A lot of people your age grow up with a simple equation in their head. Happiness equals money plus a relationship. So if you don't have either one yet, your brain quietly tells you that you're failing. Even if you're 19, even if you're barely 2 years out of high school, and you technically can't even buy a drink yet, nobody hands you that pressure directly. It builds up from years of being asked the same question over and over. What are you going to major in? What are you going to do with your life? Like you're supposed to have the whole map figured out before you've even left the driveway. You don't need to hard decide your whole future today. You need to soft choose. Pick a direction good enough for right now and stay flexible enough to turn when you learn more about yourself. That's not indecision. That's just how growing up actually works. But here's where it gets complicated, because there's a version of self-improvement that isn't trying to help you grow. It's trying to make you feel small enough to keep paying for the fix. There are two extremes, and they look completely different, but they run on the exact same fuel. One side convinces you that your face, your body, your entire physical self needs to be broken down and rebuilt because you don't meet some invisible standard. The other side shows you a life of private jets and fast cars and tells you that if you're not living that, you're losing. Both sides work the same way. They create a gap between who you are and who you're supposed to be, and then they sell you the bridge. Here's something worth knowing. A lot of the people flexing that lifestyle online are leasing the car. They're not as rich as the edit makes them look, and they're definitely not as happy as the caption says. Some of them are performing a life they don't actually have, because performing it is the whole business model. You buy the course, you buy the program. That's how they fund the lifestyle you thought they already had. It's not really lying, and it's not really living either. It's somewhere in between, pretending long enough that maybe, eventually, it becomes true. But while they wait for that to happen, you're the one paying for the performance. This is why the difference between self-love and self-hate matters so much more than people admit. If you're chasing improvement because you hate what you see in the mirror, you'll set your target using someone else's body, someone else's income, someone else's timeline. That's not your bar. That's borrowed. And you'll never actually reach a borrowed bar because it keeps moving every time someone new shows up in your feed looking a little more ahead than you. Your bar is supposed to be your own, raised from where you started, not from where somebody else already is. If you're improving at your own pace, that already counts. That was always the whole point. Now, the part that really worries people isn't the comparison. It's what happens when someone realizes they can profit from your insecurity. Self-improvement scams aren't new. Long before online courses, people were selling the exact same false hope in a bottle. The packaging changed. The pitch didn't. Here's a familiar pattern. Someone tells you they'll double your money if you just sign up. You pay to join. Then you're told the real way to profit is getting 2 more people to pay to join. Nobody can quite explain what the actual product is, only how much everyone claims to be making. That's not an investment. That's a shape, a pyramid, dressed up as a network, dressed up as an opportunity. And it works because it doesn't feel like a scam from the inside. It feels like community, like belonging, like finally being let in on something everyone else is too slow to see. That feeling is the actual product being sold. Some of these people are especially good at finding you when you're already discouraged. They'll agree with everything you're upset about: the job market, the dating pool, the feeling that nobody your age needs you for anything. And once they've got your trust, they hand you the invoice. It's the same trick as a mechanic who tells you your brakes need replacing right after you came in for an oil change. Maybe they're right. Often, they created the problem just so they could hand you the solution. This hits especially hard for a lot of young men because a specific kind of loneliness has become normal, not just single, unneeded, like the world would run exactly the same without you in it. And when that feeling goes unanswered long enough, some people start looking at everyone else as an obstacle instead of an ally. It stops being us versus the world and quietly turns into me versus everyone, which is a much lonelier place to stand. That's the mindset a lot of toxic ideology quietly slides into, because it's the first voice that says, "I see you, and I respect that you're trying," even if what comes right after that sentence is a sales pitch. There's also a version of self-improvement that has nothing to do with money and everything to do with identity. A lot of people don't just want to get better at something. They want to become someone, and that's where performance sneaks in. You'll see it in small ways. People calling themselves grinding while filming the grind more than doing it. People adopting a whole persona before they've built anything the persona is supposed to represent. It's not necessarily dishonest. It's more like trying the costume on before you've earned the role. The problem is that a costume doesn't build anything. If your only goal is a certain car, a certain body, a certain highlight reel, you'll hit the goal and still feel exactly the same because you were never actually building, you were decorating. There's no shortcut version of this that actually works. If you cheat the process, you don't beat the system. You just rob the only person the process was ever for. You. Someone once said, "You don't climb the mountain so people can see you standing at the top. You climb it so you can turn around and see the view yourself." If nobody's watching, does the climb still count? It should. It has to. Otherwise, the whole thing was never really about you in the first place. I want to leave you with something simple instead of another rule. Think about the first time you tried something you were scared of. Not something impressive, just something new. The first day always feels the worst because your brain hasn't learned yet that you're capable of it. You have to put your head under the water before you learn how to swim, and nobody swims properly on day one. You just get a little less afraid, one day at a time, sometimes with a little help from people who are patient with you while you figure it out. That's really all self-improvement was ever supposed to be. Not a performance, not a purchase, just you, becoming a slightly less afraid version of yourself, one ordinary day at a time, ideally with people around you, instead of a program above you. It's not about what you own, what you post, or how convincing your highlight reel looks. It's about whether the version of you underneath all of that actually likes who they're becoming. If this video actually helped you see something a little clearer, that's genuinely the only reason I make these. And if you want more videos like this, the kind that try to make sense of things without selling you anything, hit subscribe. It costs nothing. It helps this channel keep going, and it means the next video, like this one, actually reaches you when it's ready. Thanks for sticking around till the end. I'll see you in the next one.